Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and we're on episode 7 of Link Click. Aunt May. I don't know, but last episode was pretty crazy. So we've got this child abduction, and Cheng and Lu, they're trying to find the vantage points to figure out where the child went, and at the very last minute, the rule was you're not supposed to run into anybody in your past. Ling, I don't know why I kept calling her Rin or Lin. I think I called her that because the Japanese dub, I'd been watching a trailer on it, and her Japanese name is like Rin, and so I was like calling her that, but it's Ling. But he runs into her at the end, and he's not supposed to do that because he's not supposed to see her for like another couple of years. I'm like, oh god. So yeah, in typical Link Click fashion, we end on a horrific cliffhanger because why not? So this series, man, we had a nice little break with episode 5.5, and we're right back into the thick of it. And I'm like, okay, Link Click, what we gonna do? And I've been told that these episodes are based on a real event, and I'm like, awesome, that's always great. Child abduction based on a real life event, cool, great. I'm wondering if they got permission from the family to talk about it. I'm assuming that they did. So I am excited to get into this episode because that cliffhanger was bonkers. But I want to say really quick, I've been told that there's a Chibi series, and I looked it up. It's on Funimation. There's only 4 episodes right now, and the first episode's like 16 minutes long, but the others are like 5 to 6 minutes total. And so I definitely want to watch the Chibi series, but I know season 2 is coming out, and someone said that the Chibi series are coming out in sequence like right now in real time, and they don't really know when it's going to end. So I'm like, So I may hold off on the Chibi series until like a few weeks before season 2 comes out. And then my thought is that, if we find out season 2 is coming out like on July 7th, then like the 2 or 3 weeks leading up to it, I'll do a reaction to the Chibi series to kind of get us back in the Link Click and kind of preface and wait for the series to come out. That's my thought anyway. I kind of did that with Modao Zushi. I did the Q series over the summer before season 3 came out of the Donghua, and I was like, okay. So I'm thinking that's probably what I'll do. I'll hold off on the Chibi series until it gets closer to season 2 coming out, and then a couple weeks out from season 2, I'll watch the Chibi series, and it'll get us back in that. It'll make us feel great about Link Click before it destroys us, But yeah, so I'm excited. We're at episode 7. I'm pretty curious to see. I don't know if we're going to solve this case this episode or if it's going to carry over into episode 8. I guess we'll find out. The rule of 8, y'all. Next episode's the rule of 8, so we'll see, and I'll talk more about that at the end of the episode. But yeah, let's not waste any more time. I am excited and ready to get into this. So we are going to start episode 7, Aunt May, of Link Click, and we are going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Holy crap. We had a great ending. Had a really nice, happy ending. The kid got reunited with his parents. Everything seemed like it was going to be great. And then what do we do at the very end of this? Well, we're just going to make it worse. Oh my god, what? Okay. It's all good. It's all good. It's fine. It's totally fine. So I'm guessing Lou's going to be like, we are not taking on this case because little do you know how emotionally involved we're in all this. And are the cause of it. Crap. So, man, this episode was great. I didn't see it ending. I really thought this episode was going to end tragically. This show makes me have the worst guessing. I'm like, this show makes me think the worst is going to happen, so that when an episode like this happens, it actually has a happy ending. It's like, oh, okay, things are fine. It's like, So far as our cases go, the Emma case ended poorly, as we've come back full circle to. The Emma case ended poorly. The recipe case ended well. The case with I'll call the case with the earthquake a draw because it ended well, but it was still sad. And then you had the 5.5 case that ended okay. That was just a cutesy case. And then this case ended fine. So we're gonna make up with it by having bad, traumatic, terrible things happen in the future, right? So yeah, okay. I'm glad that they played off this entire thing as a heat wave. I'm glad they were able to play that off as it. That was really good. I was like, okay, cool. We're playing this off as the heat wave. It's just a trick of the heat. that guy was not Cheng. Thank God he didn't say anything. The one friend was like, I'm going to call Cheng and find out. And it's like, well, good thing she did, because that probably confirmed that Cheng was elsewhere. And so, yeah, then Lu finds out there's blind spots in the camera. There's nothing else we can do. We've run out of time. We fail. I'm glad that we get the confirmation that you can fail a mission, that they can get nothing out of the photos. And I know we've had that happen in the past, but it basically, the way that they were doing the surveillance in this, it wasn't going to work because of the blind spots and everything. Like the person that was trafficking, the fact that they've done this for years and many times prior, they knew what they were doing, right? But man, and then going back to the dad, I really liked that Ling was able to talk with the father and admit that she felt really bad about the situation. And that the dad was like, no, he's like, the fact that you acknowledged that you're trying to help and that you know something gives me hope, because it's just another clue. It's another piece of the puzzle. He's like, it's what I need to keep going. He's like, I don't want this to be a total cold case and for it to just end. He's like, I want to know that there's a chance this can keep going. And the sad thing is, as Cheng's going through the alleyway, there's people there, but they just aren't paying attention and they don't see the woman with the kid. But yeah, I love the fact that the dad's like, no, I'm not mad at you. It's totally okay. I'm glad that you kept this up and have been looking this whole time. He's like, I'm glad you've been doing this because you've been giving me hope, whether you realize it or not. And it's like, and of course, Cheng feels so empathetic. He's like instantly like, I like that Cheng was like, I don't know if we want to take this case. And like 5 minutes in, he's super invested. That's just how Cheng is. He gets super invested in it. He's like, no, we gotta help this kid, you know? And so I love the visualization of, there's the mom watching TV. There's the dad and the girl like on equal terms facing each other. There's Cheng overseeing it, like clearly getting invested. And then Lu is always off to himself. Lu is always distanced himself from the group. I like that about that consistency with Lu's character. He's constantly distancing himself. Like he doesn't want to be a part of the group because he doesn't want to, admit. He doesn't want to be part of the group because, he just doesn't want that to happen and to get invested like Cheng does. Even though, arguably, Lu is a very emotional person. You can tell he tries to be the logical one. And it's so sad. And yeah, Cheng's face as she's like crying and confessing, it's a really good scene. I really like this. And then that inspires Cheng to be like, let's look at your phone. And of course, it's consistent with the story that the dad doesn't want to give up any belongings from that day 3 years ago. So he's kept the same phone. He has the same photos on it. And at first, I thought what was going to happen was that they were going to go, I thought when they were scrolling the pictures, they were going to see that person in the background at the aquarium, like stalking them, like trying to get information about them. But no, it was the picture from the kid's perspective, from Dodo's perspective. And it's like, And I love that Cheng like thinks on his feet. He's like, yeah. And then we get the tie back to Lu. Lu's like, let me look at the picture first and see if there's a possibility. And there is. And the thing that gave me a little bit of hope in this moment is that Lu looks at the photo and he's like, it's possible. And at that moment, I feel like if the kid had died, Lu would have been like, let's not do this. It's not possible. He would have tried to steer away from this because there's too many emotions involved at this point. And he wouldn't have wanted to drag Cheng and the dad into this if there was no hope of the kid living. So that gave me some hope that everything was going to be maybe turning out okay. And I love the symbolism of that Cheng becomes the warrior of justice, the blue one, right? And in the flashback, the kid's looking at his toy and it's the blue one. So Cheng literally is the hero of justice for Dodo. It's like, I love it. And she's wisdom and then he's a courage. I love it. So yeah, they go into the photo, and I love Cheng as the kid. Cheng is the little kid, and the way that they animate him with like the grumpy adult face. He's like I love that they give Cheng like the adult face. It's so cute and great. But I didn't even think, I was like, how did this woman get away? Because yeah, they addressed the question that we thought of last episode. Why did nobody say anything or do anything? And it's kind of like Ling. You just don't think anything about it because you don't think something bad like that's going to happen. And when that woman was clearly trained, she was like, she called herself auntie. She like set it up and the people in line were like, oh, well, these parents were busy. So they must have called a relative to come pick him up. And it's like, and he was drugged and walked away with her. So nobody suspected anything. Nobody suspected a thing, And then, yeah, I love I've probably commented on this in the past, but I love that Lu's eyes turn the blue and Cheng's turn the gold, like the contrasting colors, the complementary colors in this moment. But yeah, so she drugged the ball to lure the kid in. I didn't even think about that. She drugged him, and that also limited to where Lu could not see where they went or what happened or like what town they were, what city they were in, what exact hotel they were in. He couldn't find anything out. So, damn. And then we get I love the callback too, the tie-in to, and everything's been affected already. And Lu realizes it at this point. That's the scary thing, is that Lu realizes just how much the past has already been changed because of the first time around. Because when she's leading him away and he's holding her hand and Ling sees him, she doesn't get a better look because she's distracted by Cheng, who had gone into the past in the previous photo. So it's like the effects have already taken place. Like the past has already been changed, and it's crazy. And Lu, in that moment, the look of horror on Lu's face is like, shit, we've already changed the past once. What do we do? And it's like, ah! Oh my God. But yeah. And then I love the thread with the memory. I love that there's this memory that threads the whole thing together, and it comes back into play later on when Dodo comes back. And it's like the idea that the dad was late. The dad was late, and then he was getting the toy for him, right? And that they tie that memory that Dodo has back to him reuniting with his parents. It's like, aw. But yeah, man, they make the aunt look really super scary. They make her look super imposing. Return the ball to Auntie. Yeah, and that's how it happened. He was drugged. And, oh my gosh. So yeah, so we go to the hotel. That scene in the hotel was so scary because you're waiting for her to wake up and trying to get all the information in the hotel, trying to look through everything, and then the ID, and of course there's the talisman behind it and the zipper and everything. The tension in this episode was just absolutely crazy. But Lu, good on Lu for being smart, being like, well, she had to have used public transportation to get you there. So, to get you to go with her. So, her ID has to be available. And I love it. But man, Cheng getting to act as the martial artist, like getting to go in and like and I love they tied in the OVA. That's the thing. My biggest detriment with my biggest dislike of OVAs or extra like other like movies in Dongwon or anime is that it's filler, right? I don't like filler in series because I'm like, if it's not canon and it doesn't connect to the main story in any way, I'm like, what's the point? And I'm not saying that episode 5.5 was like that. It was really cute and it kind of establishes Lu and Cheng's character a little more. But I love that they're tying back to it in this. They're tying back to Cheng learning the martial arts move. And then I see why y'all wanted me to watch it before this set of episodes because it all makes sense. He learned the send him to heaven move. And oh God, it was so good. I loved it. I just loved it. And I love, there's a moment when he's looking through the fanny pack and Lu's just like he's just like, you know, like this is so stressful, right? Because he wants Cheng to succeed. And then, yeah, just he punches her tooth out. He knocks her tooth out and she has the gold filling replacing it. Oh my God, it's just amazing. And then, yeah, he basically like scares her and it's like, your ancestors are watching you. Watch over this kid for 3 years or I'm going to haunt you and all this. And it drives her crazy. And she does. She just watches him for 3 years and doesn't traffic any more kids. All of that. It's amazing. And then, yeah, so they finally, and here's the thing, they made the changes in the past. By knowing that information about her, they were able to track her down and do a networking thing to find her in the 3 years, right? And so I love that it's automatically changed everything. And so there's like these counselors here and these people that are with the parents being like, okay, look, you're going to reunite with your son. He's going to have some psychological trauma because he's been stuck with this woman for 3 years. He hasn't seen you for 3 years. And he was a little kid at the time he was taken. So just so you know, he's not going to instantly run into your arms. He's going to have some trauma. And yeah, the animation of this woman when she confronts him is like, but I love that he punches her. He punches her and Lu's like, ah! I love Lu's face. I'm like, holy shit, this little kid punched this woman. Oh my God. But Lu doesn't get on to him. Lu's like, nah, do it. Just go for it. Go with it. It's fine. We're just going to make it work. Make it work to our advantage, right? And they say that it's a move that should only be used on animals. And it's like, well, this woman, even God wouldn't tolerate you anymore. I love that. I'm at the part where he's like, they sent me to teach you a lesson. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you're destined to be arrested and brought to justice. Take good care of this child and accumulate your merits and do more good deeds to appeal for leniency in the future. I love it. And that's when he goes back from the photo. He's like, I love it. It's such a good moment. It's great. But yeah, so then yeah, they tell him to relax and everything. And of course the mom is still in the same state. So yeah, even though, so it's been 3 years, but it's only been a short amount of time since they went back in that photo to solve the case. They basically changed history. They've changed the past so that it accumulates to this moment in the present. And yeah, so I'm guessing that this kid's probably like, what, 10 now? And the dad's like been preparing himself. And yeah, it's so good to see this kid brought back to his family. And his like hair's grown out and he's like a little bit taller. And then they connect back to that memory of the dad and the mom visiting him. And at the time, and it flashes the present, it's just the dad because the mom's not ready. And the kid, of course, is scared because he's like, he doesn't know what to think. He's been traumatized. And the counselors are like, yeah, you know. But then, yeah, the mom is like, it's the triple star warriors. Like, she's so affected still. And that's when he sees the star of courage is Lu. And then the star of wisdom being Ling. And then the star of justice being Cheng. And they all have the masks on. And they're doing the pose. It's so sweet. And the dad, and they connect it back to that memory. That's why I was late. And the kid, that connects him back to them and gets everything back on track, right? Oh, I'm so happy the parents got reconnected with him. I'm so happy because I was afraid this episode was going to end horribly. I was afraid it was going to be really sad and that he was going to be dead. And no, he gets reconnected and it's like, yeah, it's such a sweet moment. But then yeah, Detective Xiao Li, he brings the aunt in who's like lost her mind because of Cheng. And Cheng just has to rub it in with the whole ancestor line, and that makes her start babbling even more. But then, yeah, so basically Lu and Cheng and Ling, they've been undercover this whole time, just as like an internet rumor. Nothing major, but now the police is involved. Now they know that it's not just hokum. It's not just an internet rumor, that they actually have this ability. And the detective's like, okay, cool. I saw in the security cameras that you were in the incident, so I know that your ability, it's not just a hoax. And the Ling girl is just the broker. She's not the one with the actual ability. She's not the sorceress or the goddess. It's you all. And he talks to Cheng as the main guy involved because he's the one that he saw in the surveillance video. But the thing is, Cheng and Lu, their powers are connected. Like, it's not just Cheng and it's not just Lu. It's the two of them together, right? And they try to pass it off like he doesn't know. And the detective's like, nah, that ain't going to work because I saw you in the surveillance footage. You can't pass this off as not being a thing anymore. So, yeah, he's like, I need you to help me with a case. And it's like, it was only a matter of time, right? But I like that. At first, I thought Lu was maybe jealous that Cheng was getting credit for having the ability. But no, that's not the case at all. Lu is investigating the photos first to make sure it's a case that they can do before they even sign on to it, right? Thank God he took that folder, right? Because Cheng doesn't know that woman's dead. He doesn't. So that's the thing. Oh my God. And it's crazy. He's like, if you don't mind, can you do me a favor? And that's when Lu's like, nah, let me see that first. He's like, hold on. And I love that the Xiao Li guy like looks over to Lu like, who the hell are you? And it's like, oh buddy, you don't even know. You don't even know. He's like, you should ask me first before taking on a task. And Cheng's like, it's true. So, yeah, Cheng just thinks it's part of it. Like, he's just like, oh, yeah, that's part of our ability. Lu looks at the photos first to make sure we can do anything. And so Cheng doesn't think anything about it. But then, yeah, he looks at the photos. And it's the girl that's dead. That cliffhanger music kicks fix it. It's like, oh, show you would. You would. Ah! So, yeah. I mean, this episode was great. This is a great episode. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm glad it ended on a happy note. I'm glad it's this show does a really good thing with the time travel thing and how they cleverly weave in, because just like in episode 3 to episode 4, I was like, well, how are they getting out of the basketball thing? And then you find out. And in this episode going in, I was like, well, how are they getting out of Cheng meeting those girls? They just passed it off as a heat wave fluke, a hallucination. No big deal. But that's not the twist, right? The twist is always later on. And so the twist with this is that the detective now knows that they have a real ability, and he wants them to use it to see about the Emma girl's death. And it's like, oh, here's the problem. So either Lu can be like, no, we're not doing it. We're not going to get involved. No, thank you. He's either going to be like that, or they're going to get involved. But I'm like, they can't get involved. Cheng is going to be way too emotionally compromised. There's no way. Cheng is going to be so emotionally compromised if they get involved. There's no way. Nah. No, it's going to be, no, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well, right? They can't take the case. No, because Cheng is going to be like, this girl's dead. We have to help her again. And Lu's going to be like, no, we cannot. And it's like, we've already changed the past once. They've changed the past several times now. So it's like, we can't do it again. This does not bode well. I'm going to say this right now. This does not bode well. Don't spoil me. But I don't get good vibes from this at all. I was like, oh, damn it. I should have seen it coming in the last episode. I should have seen it coming when the detective was like looking over the cold cases. But I thought that he wouldn't do it. But so yeah. God, this is going to be rough. Okay. Don't spoil me, but I guess we're doing this. So we're going to see what happens next episode. But I'm like, oh, Lu's going to probably try and find any way he can to avoid this case. And I'm like, oh, my God, no. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this reaction. This episode was great, but the next ones look like they're going to be bonkers. So in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with episode 8, the rule of 8. The rule of 8, my theory is that any show that has like 10 to 13 episodes, the 8th episode is the start of the 3rd act, and it's always the like a big episode, and we only have 11 episodes, so it looks like 8, 9, 10, 11. We got 4 episodes left. This looks like it's going to be it's going to be end of Act 2, start of Act 3. I'm really nervous, so we'll see if the rule of 8 holds out. But take care, guys, and I'll be back next week with episode 8 of Link Click. Bye.